our touch to the society, to the common man, for a very, very long time. Very, very long time. Let us go back to the basic. Very, 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 very basic. As Takwisa was talking about revenue generation, let us go to the basic. Why should people pay taxes? All growth-oriented societies, being welfare states, require education, meritocracy, equality of rights and responsibilities, knowledge and technology, social and personal security, and seasonable opportunity for employment. There is no second view on that. So let me say, I have written this article, which I have sent to the Institute, which is a detailed one. This is a summary of this article, and this will be printed, inshallah, in the next accountants. This is a summary from that article. That can only be achieved through availability of funds for the state and their proper utilization. There cannot be a non-state actor in providing these things. We look towards ED, it is a stopgap arrangement, not a solution. The state has to provide knowledge, technology, security, reasonable opportunity, and this is the only thing the state has to provide. We are going towards non-state actors, which is not the right approach. The state has to be strong, and the state has to provide it. ED is a philanthropy in Pakistan. Historically, rulers collected taxes for maintaining armies. This we call taxes for attaining external securities. People paid taxes as the kings were deemed to protect life and property of the subjects. This was nothing in return, except some sense of internal and external security. No road, no electricity, no school. There was no school at that time. There was a different kind of statecraft. Now there is only one system, and that is welfare state. That time is gone. Now is the only one social system can exist, that is welfare state. Paying taxes is an honorable job. And as we are talking about social responsibility, I feel it is the most noble social contract. And this social contract should not be confused with religious levies and security taxes. What the kings used to collect for security, that was a different kind of taxation. What we pay as zakat is a religious tax. It is not tax. What we collect taxes is a social contract, and that is the social responsibility we are looking for. Under the social contract, each individual and society as a whole decide the basis for revenue generation. In a participative democracy, through parliament, we all agree to share a percentage of cost to fulfill the social responsibility. This system can only work when we get out of us and them approach for taxpayer and tax collectors. When we call tax, we say they collect tax for us. No, there is no us and them in taxes. It's only the society collects for themselves and they spend on themselves. Like democracies, taxes are by the people, for the people. If that link is broken, the whole social structure falls to the ground. It is more trust deficit than the budget deficit in our societies. Tax evasion has to be taken as immoral activity. If it is not, then society will be destroyed. Let us go out of illegalities and legalities of taxation. It has to be taken as immoral subject, that if we say we avoid taxes, then it is taken as immoral, nothing legal, nothing illegal. Legality comes beyond that. Through taxes we buy civilization. Taxes are the cost of civilization, a universal truth. This was said by some lawyers, some just jurists, but it is still true. And our notions, our mindsets are destroyed when we think something else. There is no other way to buy civilization other than paying taxes. Civilization, education for masses, health for all, internal security, mass transit for people, other social responsibility, it cannot be created without proper and sustained collection and utilization of taxes. And investment, it is investment, not an expense. That you have to get out of this mindset that it is an expense. It is not an expense. It is an investment for the society. Tax money, yes. Tax money used for defense, interest payment of the past luxuries of the ruler is where the civilization is destroyed. That is the benchmark. How you destroy a civilization and how you create a civilization. We have destroyed the civilizations, we have not created the civilizations. Present discourse is, however, limited to collection of taxes. The question is, Kisa was talking about 15% taxation, and I have done a lot of research on this in the last week. Tax collection in the country should be reasonably high as possible. This is exactly proportional to the level of civilization we need. There is no hard and fast rule. How the empirical evidence suggests the tax collection of over 20% of GDP, with less than 2% of GDP spent on defense, may lead to an equitable and egalitarian society. You cannot have a civilized society unless you have a 20% tax to GDP ratio. And out of that 20, not more than 2 has to be spent on defense. And our present collection is less than 10. And now we talk and we think and we conceive about a developing or an egalitarian society or civilization in our culture. It is not possible. It is not what IMF is saying. It is common sense. Minimum requirement is 20%, the more is better. Egalitarian and welfare society, the ideal tax for any society, I believe, very firmly believe, that the ideal tax is direct tax. The worst tax is indirect tax. It creates equity and justice in the society. For various reasons, indirect taxes on imports, production, and now consumption is levied in a big way. It is right. And to what extent? This is subject here. Now the question is, how much should be the level of indirect taxes in a society like us? All states supplement revenue bases for levying direct taxes in the 20th century, which gave rise to the following fundamental question: whether or not the indirect taxes be levied at the first stage, whether there should be indirect taxes or not. I question this concept. What should be, because indirect taxes are not a new subject. They not used to be indirect taxes in the past. What should be the ratio of indirect taxes in the overall tax collection? Should revenue generation be the only underlying factor determining the incidence of direct taxation? All indirect taxes laws have emerged around 1930s to date. They are not old taxes, except some custom duties. In the late 19th, early 20th century, production-based taxes like excises on salt and other similar levies were imposed in being pre-partition India. If you go back to our history, in India, the taxes on salt and things like excises were levied. These taxes were not levied for us. They were levied to fill the coffers of Westminster Abbey. Not for us. Similarly, almost at the same time, sale tax was levied essentially on import of production. Such taxes were placed to maintain the raw material supply status of India in order to provide comparative advantage with the industrial base in the West. It's a very important subject. We have to decide why we started sale tax in this society, why we started production tax in society. The history is not only alien but tainted. Some colonial legacy continued when the sale tax on goods was taken from federation, from provinces for 1 year in 1949. The sale tax in Pakistan used to be a provincial subject. In 1949, we took it from provinces to federation, and since then it has not come back from Islamabad. It stays in Islamabad. This has to come back from Islamabad. Evolution of sales tax and value tax in the West. We all are very fond of indirect taxes, and we talk about VAT and things like that, and we see these are the solution for everything. But if you look at the evolution of the indirect tax in the West, it was not the result of a detailed study. It was a result of the emergency fiscal requirements that emerged during the world wars. And it was not enforced for equitable distribution of wealth. However, those societies accepted those taxes because individuals have sufficient disposable incomes to absorb the incidence. In the post-war period, why those societies have been able to do it? In the post-war period, Western countries actually delivered.